Welcome to the Stirrers. Before we dive in, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands where we record. Michelle and Rosemary work on the lands of the Bunwurrung and Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. As we talk about transitions and shifts in our own lives, we recognise that First Nations people have been adapting, surviving and thriving on this continent for over 65,000 years. The world's longest continuing culture. Sovereignty was never ceded, always was, always will be. Ray, how are you stirring the shift?
Oh, Rosemary and Michelle, what I'm doing is I'm actually going to take the advice for myself that I give so many women. And even when I have a little bit of unsureness myself, I'm going to be bold and I'm going to be brave. And I'm going to be actually stepping into something really new soon that scares me. But you know what? I know that's when it's going to be really good.
Oh, I like that. You stirrer.
Am I stirring the shift?
Yeah,
You are. So, Rosemary, do you want to know why we stir the shift?
I always want to be reminded by you, Michelle, why we stir the shift.
Okay, what a shift stirrer is have you ever wanted to make a change in your life? If you're thinking about shifting your career to a more artisan lifestyle and following your passions, this show is not about us. It's about the people we interview and their stories, and it's designed to get you curious about what's possible for you. Thank you.
I'm Rosemary Pattison,
And I'm Michelle Benson.
and we're the Shift Stirrers.
Everyone, today our special guest is Gray. Gray is a photographer, a storyteller, a champion of women, and the owner and principal photographer behind Simply Gray. Welcome, Gray.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Michelle and Rosemary. It's such an honor.
Well, we think it's an honour too. Rosemary, you fire away with the first question. By the way, everyone, I'm setting my timer on these. So Gray's got about 4 minutes per question. I'll give the dingle at 3 minutes.
If she finishes earlier than 4 minutes, can she stop?
She can.
Great. Well, you know what, Rosemary, we probably won't have that problem.
Love it. Oh, what a beauty. The first question is about small town roots to big decisions. So the question is that you grew up in a small town 90 kilometres north of Manhattan. Your family had been there since 1850. Wow, such deep roots. Then you studied economics and international politics and ended up in Washington, D.C. doing management consulting and coding. I think I learnt Fortran when I was at Teachers College in Okay, talk us through that journey. How does a girl from a small town with deep family roots end up in that world?
Well, thank you so much, Rosemary. Actually, this wasn't part of what I was going to say, but most Australians don't believe there's a New York outside of New York City. So when I grew up, actually 2 kilometers from my house were cow fields. I mean, now they're 5-acre house lots, but there used to be cows and everything. And we still have deer walking up to our house. So it was quite rural and it is possible. But what I wanted to tell you guys is I was the youngest actually of 4 girls. And this really shaped me a lot. My mom was 44 and my dad was 49. When I was born, my eldest sister was 18. So my parents thought it was like time to live their life. And then I came around as the disruptor. That's what the family calls me, I think. And I kind of taught them that life never goes as planned. And as I'm understanding from what our questions we're going to ask, that's okay. So I grew up with a very different set of parents. When my sisters were growing up, my mom was an unhappy stay-at-home mom. And I think I can really say that. She pretty much told me that. But when I was born, she was actually starting a new business. So she actually opened her own real estate office 1972. So literally the year I was born, nothing stopped her. She learned how to ski when she was pregnant with me. And yeah, she's just that kind of woman. So and that business actually she started, it's still running today. So I guess we have a bit of legacy creating in our family.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in that back office of her business, and I used to help her vacuum the houses before she opened them for inspection. And that's really what I thought I was going to do. Like, I thought I was going to follow her footsteps. And my mom was really involved in the community. Since our family had been there for so long, you know, we'd been in that church forever. So she was really involved in the church. She was the president of the Chamber of Commerce. She ran the gardening club and stayed into her 90s. I mean, she was really my inspiration, and I'm even named after her.
Wow.
Which is kind of funny. They ran out of names, so they named me after my mom. And through her, I never saw age and I never saw limitation. So, but one thing I did always know, which was different than my mom, and maybe she kind of instilled this in me, is I always wanted to move out of that small town. So when I was 18, I applied to be a Rotary exchange student. And I was selected to go to Sweden for a year. And the day I left, I was really all nerves. There was a lot of things behind it, but I didn't want to leave home. And I will never forget. I don't know, back then, like your parents could go with you to the gate. And she literally pushed me on that plane. Like my memory is she got her and went like this, "You're getting on that plane." And I think I cried. I was 18, I probably cried. But I really thought at the time, my parents really want to finally have the house to themselves. Like they've had kids in the house for 36 years. It was time. But you know what? Now looking back, I realized she knew what I needed and she knew she had to push me to be there. Even though I instigated it, she had to make sure it happened. That year, I think, is a very pivotal year for me because it really opened my eyes and my heart. I think really my heart to the world. And like I said, it was just extremely life-changing.
That's 4 minutes, by the way.
Oh my goodness, that's 4 minutes.
Amazing. And can I say something? I listened to a bit of Gabor Mate on podcasts, and he says that no child in the family has the same parents. So I'm hearing you celebrating your different parents to the other siblings, and how wonderful.
Yeah, it was really different. I don't know, Michelle, do I have any time to finish on this one? I think this was my longest one.
Yeah, we can go a bit longer.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
When I got to uni, a lot of things happened, and I'll just skip all that. But I actually didn't quite know what I wanted, and I called my mom, and she says, "Well, you're going to have to work it out yourself." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to work it out myself." Like that was really tough love. So I picked economics, international politics with a minor in German and in business because I'm bad at decisions and I wanted to be well-rounded. I don't know, but I really think thought I wanted to work internationally and everything. So to be honest, to do that in the US, I had to go to grad school. So we had to do a 4-year degree plus grad school, and I was done with school. So I kind of did everything that my business friends were doing, and I applied for all the big companies. And that's how I fell into working with Accenture and doing coding. And when I look back, none of this was accidental. So growing up in the small town taught me community. Watching my mother build her business, that really taught me independence. And being pushed onto that plane, that taught me courage. It was a lot of courage. And walking into Anderson Consulting, now Accenture, and being management consulting, that taught me something else. It taught me a lot of hard work. But it also told me if you back yourself and you do that work, amazing things can unfold. And you know what? I thought it was about building going up the corporate ladder. But really, what it was building in me was a lot of resilience. And that's what served me more in my life than any job title that I can ever have. So I think through all of that, like I just always knew I never wanted to stay small. Like that was always in the back. And that's what always pushes me to do more and more. So I didn't want to, can I leave a question to our audience?
Yes.
Okay. So what would happen if us women trusted more that we didn't need like a map that told us where we're going to go?
Yeah.
But they just trusted that all they need is that little courage and a bit of boldness to take the next step, and everything else will unfold.
Beautiful.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what your question brought out of my mind.
Right.
So I had to get to
Excellent. That's excellent.
Don't stay small. It's not.
Never stay small and back yourself. Michelle, that's maybe the name of the podcast.
No, I don't know. You might come up with other names. So I was like,
No, I like that
you
one.
brought a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
Anyway, I always have a lot of ideas. Oh, wait, we're going to talk about meeting my husband. All right, let me see where I can delete some stuff.
All right. The next question we've got for you is, after college, working, you met your husband, you got married. It's a huge decision to come to Australia, which I believe takes courage. You left everything to come here. How was that?
Well, you know what? Crazy enough, I met John after only working with Anderson Consulting for 3 weeks. And we were really long distance. And we finally made a decision that he had to move to the U.S. So when he did move, he actually got transferred to San Francisco. And I was working in Washington, D.C. So if you know U.S. geography, we only saw each other on weekends, right? And then his second job was in Rio de Janeiro.
Wow.
So we only saw each other every 3 weeks. When I don't know how we finally decided to get married, but we did through all that. And And it was my idea to move to Australia. And I think there was 2 reasons. I wanted to see him more than just weekends or every 3 weeks, because that was our life in the U.S. being consultants. Like, that's how it was. Like, they always put us in a client site and it could be in another country. So and also I really wanted a break. Like, I give everything 1,000%. And I did that with my consulting, and I couldn't at the time see how not to live that way. So I was only 29, but I was really tired. So what we decided is we're going to take 4 months off and travel. And I think I just saw that. I didn't even think of what it meant to leave my family. I was just really excited. So we just sold up the house. We packed up everything, and we moved here. And when I did move here, I decided really quickly I didn't want to hang out with the other expats because I didn't know how long I was going to be here. But I knew in my heart that I needed to make it work. And I saw so many expats like not doing that. So I now have a phrase, and I had a podcast. That was another adventure. And I tell my kids all the time, bloom where you are planted. And I was doing that at the time, and I didn't even understand it. So I didn't pine over what I was missing in the US. I did the best to thrive where I was. And I didn't actually go back to work. I spent a lot of time with the retirees. I joined not a mother's group. I didn't have kids. I joined a writer's group. I played tennis. I spent a lot of time on the porch of my 80-year-old neighbor, just watching the world go by and listening to her crazy stories about her daughter and Nick Cave. It was crazy. And I just found myself surrounded by these amazing women. I guess we could call them wise women, right? And I learned about those years of life and about reinvention, grief, resilience, and just the simple joy of listening to people's stories, I guess. And I think that's when everything really shifted, and I really thought I loved my corporate career. But what Australia gave me was that space for my creative side, and it really I really felt lighter, and I felt more of myself. And I think that's when I realized it wasn't anymore about the job title. It was more about the impact you can have in life and that connection, which my mom always taught me, but I didn't know. Looking back and thinking about this, like, that's really what she was all around about, and that's probably why she went into real estate, helping people that way. And I just love listening to people's stories, and I'm just really grateful Australia gave me that space to do that, because I don't think I would have ever had that.
So the next question's been answered, Michelle.
I would really like to actually talk a little bit more about the Alamein.
Actually, and I go specifically into that. So,
because I think that it's a really fascinating story about Australia, about Melbourne. I was looking it up, and there's.
I'll have to find the book for you.
Yeah, it did have a name. I can't remember what the name of the book was.
The Alameiners, they called it.
Yeah. So, are you happy to do that, Rosemary?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Okay, great. So, I love that you suggest to our listeners, bloom where you are planted. And that's what you did in the Alamein project. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And I also want to celebrate your skills in listening. We don't listen these days, but actually what you were doing was listening and hearing stories and learning about people. And that's just such a wonderful skill to have. Tell us a bit more.
Oh, thank you so much, Rosemary. Okay, so during this time when I moved here, and I saw an ad. It was probably to be honest, it was probably posted up in the library. And it was a woman that was looking for help to write these stories about people that lived in this area called Alamein, which is very close to where I live. And they were basically people that came back from World War II, returned servicemen, and they didn't have homes. So they bought the government, I guess, the government council, I think that was probably the Australian government, Victorian government, built these commission houses. But they were houses, they were family homes for them to go into. And that's what what was happening is at this time, which was around 2002, 2003, those men that were coming back, they were passing. So they didn't want to lose the stories. And I have to tell you, it's so good we did that, because most of those houses are gone now and our big, huge homes are built instead. So I signed up. They gave me 3 women. I bought a tape recorder and I took my book and I said, yes. Look, I was 30. I had no kids and I was really green. Like, even at 30, like, I didn't know much about life. Like, over a lot of cuppas, I learned that a cuppa is more than a cup of tea. Mm-hmm. I learned about families that had to live in parks, in tents after the war, but to make it home, they put a fence around their tent, so it looked like home. I learned about outside toilets. Like in the US, no one had an outside toilet unless you had like an outhouse. I learned about that. I learned about grit. I learned about what it took to build a community out of nothing, the importance of community. And also, one of the women was like the head of the like parents committee of the school. So I really learned a lot about that. I don't know. I just learned about raising kids, making the best of what you had, loss. After that time, at that time, I thought I was just helping with a community project, but it really shaped me. Like it shaped me so much about how my thoughts are, about maybe empathy I have with people, and then what I do. And also, these were just like, most of these women were just like, they were so like, why do you want to like interview me? So what I realized is everybody has a story to tell, and especially our older generation, and we can learn so much. Like, people, I don't know. I love going to like retirement villages. I mean, I just love it because I love hearing the stories. So I transcribed all those hours of tapes and I wrote their stories. And I guess 20 years later, I did it again with the 50 and Wiser Club, and I'm still doing it. Like, and I didn't even really think about that really probably spurred on what I'm doing now until this morning looking at these questions. So yeah, it's just, gosh, I thought it was just something to fill in time, and it just became so much bigger. Yeah, I guess without me knowing it, it's kind of goes into what I do today. So thank you, Alameaners.
It's a fascinating story, right? I mean, just even like, oh, by the way, I have a lane down where I live. I have a lane down the side of my house that was for what they called the night watchman, who was the guy who took the cans. So they used to wear shit carter hats, and it was, they take the can away from, and so there's a little lane down every second house for those little, yeah.
It's just so fascinating. It's so fascinating that the houses built right before the war had like trim and brick, but the houses after the war, we didn't have the money, so they're just so simple. But and these poor families actually had to deal with a lot of like rising damp and stuff like that, but they had a house of their own. And then the ones that waited to sell it, wow, they did pretty well because like the property became so great. Yeah, no, it was just really, it was a real honor to be part of those people's family stories. Yeah, so, maybe, yeah, I can look it up. I
think it is called the Alameaners. I'm pretty
sure. It's called the Alameaners.
And I also looked up the lady's name, so I'll actually put that.
Great.
Yeah, the lady's name.
I should reach out to her again and let her know that I still do this work.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so next we're going to look at your transition into your photography. So, you'd given up your career, you started a family, but you wanted something more, which I understand. I've been there, so I was the same. And you signed up for the photography course. I think you said RMIT, am I right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. That's right. And how did you go? How did you go from photography and not even knowing what aperture means to actually it becoming your life work? Well, having been somebody who's just learning about aperture.
Well, the funny thing is with me, there's always a story. And you know what feels like a very long time when you're going through it? I was like, wow, it's such a small blip. But I guess at the time, actually, I was going back and forth a lot to the US because my kids were really little. I have 3 kids now, but at the time I had a 2.5 and a 1-year-old. And I finally made a decision that I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to go on a trip with my family up in Queensland. And during that trip, I got a call that my mom was dying. So I was on the next flight back. I took my 1-year-old because I couldn't leave him behind. And I left the other one behind with my husband. And my mother didn't pass. She was 80. But I did spend 3 months with her there in the States, nursing her back to health. And it was probably during that time, my kids both came, eventually were both with me. And it was during that time that I had to get someone to help me because I had to go to rehab. My mom had to learn to walk, talk, everything again.
Wow.
And I really had to be her advocate because she was 80. A lot of times people write people off when they're older. So I really had to be her advocate. And it was during that course. And I think because I realized I could juggle the family and still do something else, which I didn't think I could do, actually. I had always thought I'd give everything 100%. I can't juggle. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to go take that course I've been thinking about, because every time I took pictures I wanted them to be better. It was just I'm like, why can't I do it like other people do it? And they were just they're pretty bad. I mean, they're probably fine, but they weren't too bad. So I came back after and I did the course. And like you said, a friend of mine that I met during the course recommended that I started. And in 2009, I put the kids in daycare twice a week, and I started photographing families because that's what I knew at the time. That's what I felt comfortable with. That's the relationship I understood. And the RMIT course was just a starter. And I threw myself into learning, and I did workshops. I got mentors. I did classes. I tried a lot of things. I failed at a lot of things. I tried again at a lot of things. I'm always someone that wants to grow, and that hasn't changed. It's still happening. But that's how I really learned about it. And I remember even being on a workshop, because I used to shoot an aperture priority, that someone said to me, if you're not shooting a manual, you're not a photographer. So I actually set myself, I do a photo a day project every January. And that January following that, I set myself that I would shoot a manual. And that's actually how I finally learned to shoot a manual. It's just by every day making mistakes for a month. Yeah. So that's how it happened. And then, was there perfect balance between motherhood and ambition? No. I still was on my computer while they were home doing things, and it's still a problem. Ask my kids. It's still a problem. But what that gave me is something I hadn't felt in those few years, and it gave me that creative oxygen. And it also reminded me that I can pick up and try something new and build something new again. I guess I've been doing it my whole life and I keep forgetting, but I guess it can happen. So did that answer your question?
It does. And you're within your time limit. That's fantastic.
I told you I'd get better at that.
Okay, we're up to the next question. Michelle, you're doing a great job with the timing. Great. Your Alamein project and people's stories, and then photography. And then you now are doing the Wise Women project, which has got a limited life as well. But can you talk us through that project and how you empower women with that?
Yeah. So when I look back at Wise Women, it kind of feels inevitable, but it didn't start that way.
Yep.
So when I was 45, I actually saw someone who was turning 40 wanting to photograph 40 women for her birthday. And I thought, oh, when I'm 50, I want a challenge. That's what I'm going to do. And I really wanted to create a coffee table book sharing wisdom of women like 50 to 100. But when I asked them to share their wisdom, they either said something that was really safe, or they said, I have nothing to say. And I thought, that's not going to be a very good coffee table book. So everything really shifted when I started to ask them, when you were little, what did you want to be? And tell me how you got there. And yes, I had to listen for a long time, but that's where their wisdom came. And when they heard that back, they said to me, wow, did I say that? Or they'd say, wow, I have something to say. I didn't know I really had something to say. I actually have something to say. And that is what really inspired me to continue this work all the way through, because I really learned everybody has something really important to say. And also the power is, as you ladies know, because you're doing it here with me, is when we stop and pause and reflect. We spend so much time worrying where we're going to go in the future, and that causes such anxiety. If we just stopped and reflect on all the amazing things we've done, even though we don't think so, but when we really reflect, we have done quite amazing things, not necessarily places we've been, but the things we've been through and those seasons and what shaped us, that's really where the power has to go. So I just want to explain a little bit of when I photograph people. I think this might help explain to other people, how do women see their strength? Because I talk a lot, I want to show you what other people see in you, because you can't see it in yourself. And that's so important, not only in the story, but but I kind of have an analogy that I think explains this. So when I photograph families, and not so much anymore, but especially when I used to, everything would go pear-shaped. It always does. You can't tell kids to sit still. They won't. So I always have the parents, just smile. Please just smile. Even when you're about to strangle them, just keep smiling. Because what will happen is the kids will do something amazing and show you such tenderness. You'll see it, but you'll forget it, because all you're worried about is the naughty things they're doing. And oh my God, this is so embarrassing because there's other people watching us, and that's all. So many times when I go through the image reveal with the parents, they're like, were we in the same place? I said, yeah, we were. But what I did was I captured the good moments so you can remember them later when you're about to strangle the kids, because they do happen, but so often we don't remember them and we're so fixated on those other things. So I think, thinking back, that's what I do with women too, because I like to show them what I see. And when I photograph them, I do see their strength. I see their courage, because it takes courage to show up to the studio. And I see the wisdom that they rarely acknowledge because they don't take time to look at it. And when I want to have them, like my families had those portraits. I want them to have these portraits. And that's why with Wise Women, I print them at least one image. I print them all their images, but I make one a magazine style, and they're in the magazine because I want them to, when they self-doubt themselves, because we do it all the time. I mean, I do it. I want them to see that portrait, see their story. Actually, that's why probably that's so important to me, the stories, because I want them to remember that they really are a brave woman and say, wow, that's me. Like I think that's really kind of sums up why I do what I do.
And can I just celebrate there's so many skills, I can't pick them all out, but the skill set of not being happy with a safe answer, and then the skill set of asking the right question. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
we would have had a book with about 50 women saying the same thing.
But I think you should write a book about yourself.
No, Rosemary as an author has a right to say that. So
Oh, you do? Okay, well,
I looked at you online, and the reason I actually said, yeah, I'd like to do this when I saw your ad was because I was looking for a photographer, but I wanted a photographer who had values that I actually believed in as well, not just someone who was going to take my photo. And the session I had, I found I not only felt truly beautiful, but I felt valued. And I think that a lot of women in their later life go through an invisibility phase where they feel like they're invisible. I mean, when I felt invisible, I went and got my hair dyed blue. So all the tips at the end were blue. And that helped me get through that. I'm now back to my normal.
blue is nice, but yay.
And I think that, how do you, what have the women that you've photographed taught you about them and about stories? Because you've heard stories of women all your life. So what have they taught you?
What have they taught me? Oh, that wasn't my question that I answered. I must not read your question. But that's okay.
You jumped and took my question.
Oh,
Was that the next one?
hang on. Well, then what was this?
Don't
What
worry.
happens
Answer
between
this
the
one.
moment when someone walks in and the moment they see themselves differently? So sorry, Rosemary, apologies. And we'll leave that bit in because I like it.
No, I like that. No, that's okay. I think that's how these things work. Look, for me, I'll kind of say quickly, space is really important, like where you come in. And that's why when I stopped being on location studio photographer, I had a studio at home. And it was a very safe space, but as my kids grew, it wasn't the right space. So I actually had my own studio. And then I had to move studios recently, and I will be again. But anyway, but on that hunt for a new studio, like I'd go to places and people like, and a woman would not feel safe here. Like I just had to have a place they'd feel safe. And so that's really important. And I think what I've learned that before the camera comes out, I think it starts way before that, like before you even step in the studio. And I think you made me realize, actually, Michelle, I guess it really starts with me understanding who you are. Because if your photographer doesn't understand who you are, how can they really capture you? So that's what's great about Wise Women. Like, they're not surface level questions. Like, they're real questions I ask. And I really get to understand what makes you tick and what you've been through. So on the practical side, the coffee really helps make you feel comfortable, I think. And also the hair and makeup. And it's not about hair and makeup. It's not about the latest do. It's just about getting you to relax. And that's why I pick the makeup artists I do and giving you that pause before you step in with me. And I guess when I'm photographing you, I'm really curious. So I just ask lots of questions and we talk and we become friends. And we do. That's what Michelle and I said, we're gonna hang out. And I do. And I feel that way with so many of the people I photograph because like I like you. Like I really like you. And there is an application process for Wise Women. So I suppose I can say if I don't like someone that I don't have to photograph them. But I really am generously curious and love people's. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I think you know that you're in good hands with me. That I'm not going to just be like, this will be good enough. Because yeah, sometimes like it's probably annoying because I go over and over again. I think there's also there's something during that shoot, like where your shoulders kind of drop and your smile becomes kind of real and you forget there's the camera. And that is, to me, is when I can truly have you be seen and everything. Yeah, I think I'll finish this with a little story too, because I think it kind of shares like the words. We say a lot of words, but what does it mean? But I'm actually photographing someone this week, and she's had a lot of branding shots done, and she's coming for Wise Women, and I don't know if she knows why. I do think she knows why, but she wants to be seen, and she just wants something a little bit different. But she asked me to look at her images that she's already had in her catalog and what she's missing. And look, the images were great. Like they were really great. They showed what she does. They're beautiful. Like there was nothing wrong with them. The photographer did a fabulous job. But after I wrote her story, I realized that something was really missing. They don't really show her depth and her evolution and her why. I feel that responsibility. I feel that deep responsibility, not just photographing someone's title, not just their role, but who is underneath it. So, yeah. So I hope that when she comes in, I can do that for her. And when she says that version, that will really shift for her too. And she'll stand a little bit taller. This woman already stands tall. So, but maybe even in a little bit of a different way. And yeah, that's what really matters. So I guess I set high expectations, but we seem to get there somehow in the end. But yeah.
Great story.
Can I just say something? When Gray photographed me, beforehand, when I was getting my makeup done, she asked me how I met my husband, and I went through my story, and I said about the first time I kissed Mark. And halfway through, we're taking the shoot, and Gray goes, "Smile like it's the first time you've been kissed by your husband." And I think I just beamed. Yeah. And it was just so lovely, because I think that it was things like that and you laughing too that helped me relax even more. I mean, I was looking forward to the session. I was very, what I call nerve-sighted, but it's an experience I dragged myself into because I knew I had to do it, but I actually loved it.
I'm so happy. And I tell you, I think I told you, no one ever comes in really I am not nervous. I don't think I've yet to have someone come in like that. And if they do, I'm a bit nervous myself. Then I'm really nervous. So, yeah, no, that's good, because you know what? You guys are nervous before a shoot starts. I'm actually nervous too, because I put that expectation on myself. Mm. So I actually have to let that go and just know that if we both do our jobs, it will come naturally.
Okie doke. Great. So, what a wonderful thing. You're a small business and you also mentor Go Girls Foundation. Such a great contribution, and we want to hear more about that. What drew you to that work, and how does mentoring women in such vulnerable situations connect to or inform the work you do, photographing women in transition?
I think that, the Go Girls Foundation, they kind of fell into my lap a little bit, and I fell into their lap, which, because we have a very good relationship and we work really well together. And when I was doing the 50 and Wiser book, I really wanted to have a charity aspect. And at that time it was COVID, and a girlfriend of mine said, I'm selling some tote bags for a charity that supports women at risk. And as we do, we support our girlfriends. So they ask us. I said, okay. And when I got that tote bag, when it was delivered, I opened it up and there was a photo of a woman that they had helped and her story. And so at that point, I was actually developing how I was going to do the 50 and Wiser. I really believe in fate. And I'm like, and I want a charity. And here's a charity that just sent me a photo of a woman with her story. So I said to my friend, I said, can you please put me in contact with the CEO? I would really like to raise money for them. And she goes, oh, they're very busy people, correct? Anyway, I caught up with them and they really loved what I was doing. And I really loved them. And what happened was we ended up raising $20,000 for them through that coffee table book. And I think because I was doing it for them, it really inspired me to keep going. And when I ever had to call someone and ask them something, or do you want to be part of this? And you kind of feel like, oh, I don't feel like that. I felt I'm doing it for the Go Girls, so I can do it. Yeah. And it was really amazing. And I photographed a lot of them and I got really involved. And they also had me do a lot of photographing events for them. So I got to meet a lot of the women that they helped. And I would go to they have these graduations of the women that they support. And I'd be in tears. And anyway, so eventually I also became a mentor for them. Yeah, and that was really lovely. And now they're actually a part of the Wise Women Project. This time is going towards their charity also to support women. So yeah, it's just been really amazing. And this is the thing, in our Wise Women launch that Michelle went just a couple weeks ago, Michelle, there's a lot of Michelles that run the Go Girls, they were there also. And they came to support me actually, which was amazing. And I wanted to announce them and also thank them, and because they've been such a big part of my journey and they've been so supportive of me. And I just want to announce them. And they said to me, and I asked them a question. I said, one thing, we really need more mentors. And I said, all right, I'll ask. And so made it up. Because it's really women at risk. And there's a huge stat that how many women are actually killed by their past partners, their current partners. And I don't want to say the stat because I'll get it wrong right now, but it is mind-boggling. So the work that they do to support and empower women so they can get out of those kind of situations, And they also support women that might be lost or are socially isolated because maybe they came from another country, or they're just socially isolated because they're out in the country, or we can be socially isolated actually among millions of people. So they help a lot of women. And I just asked, though, I said, if anybody here thinks they can be a mentor or might want to know more about the Go Girls, and Michelle told me that she had like 7 women, and we had 33 women. So 7 women out of the 33 went up to her and said, I want to know more.
Wow.
And I thought that is the power
Yeah.
of connection, bringing women together. And I guess it's kind of the power of what I do too, because like I said to the women, talk to someone you never talked to, because magic can happen. And I truly believe that. I don't know,
was
did I
a
answer your
great
question?
event.
But they're pretty amazing.
Great
So
event.
go check them out if you want to check out the work they do.
I've said I'll be a mentor. I've got to fill in my form. I haven't filled in my form yet.
And and through that you'll meet the other mentors who are amazing women. And
Yeah.
and what I really love is they're a small organization doing big things. So
Yeah.
you're not going to be caught up in the red tape.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Rosemary, you look like you wanted to say something there.
No, I just said awesome, my favourite word.
So this is 2026 is the last year that you're actually going to be photographing wise women, and you're actually calling for 40 women. I don't know how far you've got in your count so far. What does this ending mean to you, and what are you hoping to capture in this final cohort?
Yeah, I think you also was wondering what kind of why. There's a few reasons why this is my last, and it's really bittersweet for me because I just really love this work, but I'm not leaving this work. So, but after doing this for 4 iterations, I kind of feel it's time, and I have another project in my parking lot of ideas. And I know myself well enough to know that if I don't explore it, it will nag me for a long time. And I just can't afford that mentally. So I got to kind of do it. And also there's some family ventures on the horizon, potentially. And I'm slowly learning, and even more learning through answering your questions and reflecting that even though the unknown can trigger a bit of anxiety in me, because I like to plan, it can also bring out extraordinary experiences in life. So every time I step into that uncertainty, something meaningful really happens. So I'm just going to step into that. But we have to, because of all that, that's a lot, we have to end the chapter in June. And we are looking for 40 women. I think I need like 26 more. Yay! And I'm closing because I have to do it by June, I'm closing applications by the end of March. And because it takes time to photograph. And I'll tell you at the end, there'll be heaps that come in. And it's unfortunate. So if you... we're only doing 40 because that's all we will have availability to be able to photograph and get in the magazine. Now, this final group, they feel really important to me. But what I really want is I want women to come to this project. Like, I'm not looking for a type of woman. I never am. Because I guess I really believe in what comes for a reason. So I want women to come if they feel that need to have this pause. Women probably that have been holding a lot together, juggling a lot. Women who don't think they have anything special to share. Or women even that feel that they have something they want to share, that they finally want a platform to be able to share it. We give so much to our family, our work, our communities. Like, I really want women to give back something for themselves. So, and if they don't like doing that, because we all have a hard time doing that, like, don't we? So I did something for the Go Girls, right? I say to the women that want to be part of it, you will be doing something for the Go Girls because part of your contribution will go towards them. But also you're doing things for other women because you're sharing. By sharing your story, you're sharing with them that they're not alone and what is possible. So you're not just doing it for yourself, but you'll have an amazing experience for yourself. So, I just want to end this chapter with 40 remarkable women who may not know that they're remarkable yet, share their stories, even if they think it's ordinary, because like I told you guys, ordinary lives really have extraordinary wisdom, and they're not told enough, So I always say, people are like, oh, I have this famous friend. I don't need famous friends. I want to hear the real, not that their stories aren't real. And I'll listen. If there's a famous person someone wants me to photograph, I'm right there for it. I think I'd always really love to photograph like Michelle Obama or something like that. So I'd do that. I'd be really nervous, but I'd do it. I'll put it out there. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And I think the other thing is, the end of this project, I hope, ends in a beautiful celebration where everybody can meet each other and a little bit of magic can happen. That's what I'm really hoping.
I was going to say, what you need for your next thing is a metaphorical mother's foot on your backside, kicking you through the door.
Yeah, that's really what I need, isn't it? I think you're right.
Great.
Well, I do wear her necklace, so maybe that's kind of what that is.
And we will talk about how to get in contact with you, but just for that one, how would people contact you?
So we actually, maybe you could put on your on the link, we have a page that talks all about the project. And there's actually, so it tells you everything you want to know. And then you can always reach out to me if there's more questions. But there's actually an application form on that. So that application, and it's quite simple. It just kind of tells you asks you what spoke to you about it, confirms that you're over 40. And so, and you understand that the project, it is a paid for project. And like I said, part of that will go back to the Go Girls. And I have an amazing group of women that work with me and that I support. So it goes to paying them too. And me a little bit for doing what I do. But yeah, that's how you get a hold of me. But if I always say to women, if there's any questions, just ask. And by applying for the project doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you have to do it. It just means that I understand and I can call you and we can talk more about it.
It's awesome. Well, we're on to our last question before the legacy one. Are you right to go on with the one about STEM?
Yes, I think I am.
100 women in STEM. And you are a STEM person yourself, coming from being a coder and being in business. Could you talk us through this project that's new to you?
Yeah, well, actually, it's not really new, but I've been talking about it more. So I want to photograph 100 women in STEM. And for those that don't know, it's science, technology, engineering, math, and medicine. I might have got the 2 M's backwards. And it's been sitting in my notebook since 2021. So, yeah, it's quietly been parked for 5 years. And over time, I started to notice.
Sometimes you need something in your brain for a couple of years, don't you? So it's been in your notebook. It's been a project you've been thinking about.
Okay. Yeah, it really has been something, Rosemary, that I've been thinking about for a long time because I actually photograph a lot of women who are medicine. And what I realized is I'm really inspired by them. Not only those women, but women. I photograph a lot of women that are in male-dominated fields. And I think what stuck with me is not necessarily just they're quite smart women, but their passion and their commitment to what they do. Because you have to be passionate and committed to do those fields. So it really got me thinking about that. And I also often found that these women didn't want to just see themselves as capable, but they really wanted to see themselves as women, whatever they define that as in their space. So I just really got me thinking. And then over the last 8 months, I can't tell you how many women in STEM have just been coming my way. And I really need to start my list because I'll definitely forget. So I don't know. And I've learned I got to pay attention. I really have to pay attention. And I think right now is the time. So, and like you said, Rosemary, I was a woman in STEM, but I never realized it until about 3 weeks ago. Maybe, Michelle, something you said, I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I was. So, but you know what? This is something actually also that I'm quite passionate about is that in high school, I nearly failed maths. And if it wasn't for a tutor that really believed in me and who took the time to sit with me and help me, I probably would have given up. And I'm learning recently that there's this crazy statistics. And I don't know the statistic off my hand, but there's so many girls that quit math in high school. And it's not because they're not capable. Yeah. It's actually because they don't believe they're capable. And a girlfriend just told me about her daughter doing that. And it just made me really angry, actually. Yeah. And I realized, look, and I have a daughter that's actually, and she's quite a smart girl, decides that she wants to go into arts, into a creative field. So I really am supportive of whatever a girl wants to do. But if it's because they don't think they're capable at something, there's something really wrong. And especially if they're at an all-girls school. There's something really wrong. Why are we doing that? And I just feel so fortunate that I had actually a male chemistry teacher who actually sat down and showed me that I was capable. So I really feel this STEM project it's bigger than just a portrait project. And I don't know what it is yet, but I just really feel that it's going to mean more to me and more to others than just a portrait project. And I really want to photograph the full spectrum of women in STEM. I want to start from our dreamers. So these girls that might be giving up but are dreaming they want to do something. I want to photograph the women that are in the thick of it. And then I want to find our legacy, our pioneers. And what was it like for you? We think it's tough now, but what was it like for you? My sister was a civil engineer, and in the 70s, because remember, they're so much older than me, she was one of the first civil engineers. Like she was the only woman on a job site, let alone in university. So I want to know how that. So I really envision, I don't know, it's going to be a book yet. It's going to be an exhibit. I don't know yet. I envision those. So if it's exhibit, people coming in and just being totally inspired by these women, not just other women, but our kids and men, men, like learning, like and knowing. And I don't know what the story is. I think part of this question was, what story do you want to tell? I don't know yet. And that stopped me so many times. Yeah. Like people say, why haven't you done it yet? Because I don't know what I want to say. Yeah. So what I've really learned is I just got to start. And what I want to say, it's not what I want to say. It's really what these women want to say. It's just going to happen through me. And it's going to evolve, and it will probably change, and it'll probably be different for every woman. And I'm really comfortable with that now. I just got to get started. Yeah. Yes. So
women as well in industry, in organisations, don't get heard. They don't get heard as much as the male engineer sitting next to you in the boardroom.
That's right. They don't get heard. And sometimes we're afraid to speak our voice. And that's what I really want to, I want to be that platform they can a safe platform.
Right.
And just like Wise Women, where you can be heard and you can say things and it's your opinion. Just because it's not the norm's opinion doesn't mean it's wrong. So I was also thinking about this. So I just wrote this down too. And this question is also this project might be honoring my younger self.
Yes.
Because that girl that nearly gave up. And I want to make sure that girls and women and people just hear that message, that they are capable and just stay with things, even when it gets tough, if that's really what's in your heart to do.
Awesome. Love it.
So this project's going to go well for you because I can hear the passion.
I'm so excited. I just got to get started.
Yeah. Are you ready for your final question?
All right. I do. Yes. Before I know you're going to have to edit this out. I do want to talk about the tall poppy syndrome. Is that okay?
Yeah. We don't have to edit it out, by the way.
Oh, you don't have to edit that out. Well, I really want to talk about it because I think Australians need to hear.
If it's a point, we won't edit it out.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Ask away.
So we usually ask our listeners at this stage a quirky question. And in the past, it's always been, if you could go back and give your younger self a superpower, what would it be? But I think a lot of what you're doing is legacy work. And I think it's really important for us to actually explore this. You know, when you look at the body of work you've done, the Alamein stories, the Wise Women, the STEM project, you're building a legacy. And what do you hope that these photographs and stories do in the world long after you've taken them?
Well, like I told you, this conversation has really given me time to pause and reflect. You've given me the gift that I hope I give all the women I work with. So thank you guys so much. Thank you. I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you.
And when I look at the body of work I'm creating, and when I looked at those questions, it's so much more than portraits. And I really hope one day that people can look back at the stories and say, wow, that's what life was like in the 20s and the 30s. Isn't that crazy? They're not even going to say 2020 and 30s, or 2020 and 30s. And that's what women were carrying at that time. And that's how they navigated their work, motherhood, loss, reinvention, ambition, doubt, and you know, history is so often written by leaders, and it's written about war and politics. And, you know, I'm just interested in our everyday courage. And that doesn't often make the headlines. Like, I was so lucky that our 50 and Wiser Club story made the headlines and was in The Age. Like, they needed a feel-good piece because really bad stuff was happening. And I was so honored and so excited. They chose us. They chose women. Like, I just was so excited. So. And I just want to do this for everybody. And I want women to know they are brave, and they just not because they're doing something big and dramatic, just because they keep taking that daily step, one before the other. And I really want women to know it's okay to celebrate themselves like you celebrate others, because I don't know, I made my mother have her 90th birthday party because she would never celebrate herself. And I wanted to tell her what I thought about her to her face, not at her funeral. So I really feel that everybody should celebrate themselves and let people tell them what they think about them, because it's too late later. So, okay. And I would love for us in Australia to see beyond this tall poppy syndrome. Okay. I grew up with a mother who stood for what she wanted when I was with her. She didn't always do that, but she did. She had that courage at 45 and did that. She was bold. She was a trailblazer. And I didn't know anything different. Like that's like what she taught me. She really didn't teach me to stay small. So when I first heard this cutting down, like I had no idea what it was when people told me about it. I'd have women all the time, oh, women won't want to do that. You know, the tall poppy syndrome. I'm like, what the heck is that? You know, what is that? And I was like, really? Is that really a thing? Like, seriously? Because to me, it was like, so, didn't understand it. it really confused me because I'm very black and white. And I was like, really? Like, seriously? Like, that's so sad. So why would we not want other women to shine? So if my work can do anything, I hope it gives us permission to stand tall, permission to evolve. Like, we never stay the same. So, and permission to do that and to be seen and heard without apology and feeling like someone might cut us down. So, yeah, I think, our life is rarely certain. Our paths always change. Forks kind of come where we never expect them. But over time, again and again, like what I see is when women trust themselves and keep moving forward, that's when the really meaningful things happen for them. And not just for them, but I really believe in a ripple effect that if great things happen to us, it happens to our community, whatever that community may be. So, I don't know. Maybe my legacy is to create something that says, you are here, your story matters, your courage counted. I see you, we all see you, and we hear you. And I don't know, long after I'm gone, I guess, maybe someone will read these and see all that, and they can say, wow, I can relate to that. And they actually feel less alone, because I really feel that's what our stories do. And
That's
they can
beautiful.
feel seen and heard too. So that's what I hope.
Beautiful.
That's a big ask for my work, isn't it?
No, I don't think it is. I think that you have the ability to do that. And yeah, it's beautiful. I can't wait to get my book. But I mean, not that I'm in a hurry, but I cannot wait. You wait till you see it, Rosemary. There's this bit in the middle that's just lovely.
I know. And yours is the one that's first. It's like approved. So we have 30 more 9 to get approved. It's great.
Great. I'd like to thank you so much. This has been wonderful. You yourself are an incredibly wise woman, and your transition journey yourself has I'm hoping this will inspire a lot of people.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the platform. I know we went a little bit longer, but I really appreciate it. And I hope, I find that sometimes the small little details that you feel very insignificant in your life can actually be something that brings someone else understanding of theirs.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for thinking about the questions and really thinking about them for us and our listeners. That was wonderful. And I've got a new yellow sticky to put up on my corkboard. Back yourself and never stay small. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, that interview with Gray was amazing, wasn't it?
Oh, I just loved it. I know she photographs wise women, but she herself is such a wise woman.
Yeah, lots of great wise things throughout that.
Yeah. So what were your learnings? What were your key learnings?
Look, I think what touched me was don't stay small, it's not worth it, and back yourself and never stay small. Because I think sometimes we think as artists we're going to do this and we go, nah, that's not something I could do. And so I think it did really ring for me is don't stay small and basically, back yourself, you can do it.
Yeah, they're good ones. They're really good ones. I actually liked it when she said ordinary lives have extraordinary wisdom. That touched me too, because I think that sometimes people feel that they're not listened to.
Yeah.
And this actually shows you that people are listened to and that they are worthwhile in what they've done, especially a lot of women who go through the invisible stage of life. But yeah, I really love that. And what's inspiring you at the Rose?
At the moment, well, I've just got ready my latest book, which is about a little girl who takes her mum out into nature and through her eyes takes her mum off the phone and shows her and asks her, what do you see? What do you hear? And so it's called Through Greta's Eyes. But what I'm doing during the shift is this is an example of when you get the final copy. And I haven't quite finished this Greta book, but I thought I'll send it off and get my author copy and see what it looks. And then I'll do a little bit of updating. But it's really close and I'm so excited about it.
Okay, I have a curious question. What did Greta end up as? Did she end up with a sardine in her hair?
Oh, yeah. No. On the last page, she has a sardine hair clip. Yes. And she's going to make a friend a hair clip. She's very good at making hair clips. Yes.
Seriously love that. I told you I saw somebody with a fried egg one in their hair the other day.
Great.
Yeah, I thought it was very cool.
Yes, I think Greta loves hair clips. Now, what
She's a
about
girl.
you?
I'm actually going through a massive shift in my work. And I think that I have struggled with ceramics being functional. And I have hit a stage where I'm going, no, it doesn't have to be functional. So I'm actually making a lot more sculptural pieces in my work. But when I say sculptural, I'm not talking about forms of people, but just sculpture as a sculpture. So it's very exciting. I can't show you anything yet because it's all in the cooking pot. But watch this space.
Right. Well, I want to say to you, well done listening to what you need to do and make that shift.
Well, I think it's actually, I did a program with Amy from the Daring Artist called Make Exceptional Work. And it has made me actually sit and contemplate my work a lot more time spending in that cooking pot. And I actually got to a stage where I thought, well, I'm doing this exhibition and I can't resolve this exhibition. I'm going to throw this whole exhibition away. And then I'm sitting there releasing an idea that I feel I can no longer deal with and work with because I put so many constraints around it. And letting it go gave me the freedom to think of new ideas of how I can do what I want. And I'm excited and inspired by where that's going. Yeah, as I said, watch this space.
Watch this space. Can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, Rosemary, we have some very exciting episodes in our book coming up. And as we get closer to the event, please watch Instagram to see them and to see what's coming up. And we'll see you all in a couple of weeks' time. Bye.
Right. Is this the bit where we tell people we're not the experts?
Oh, we've already done that. We do that at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, we just add on a bit at the end. So, yeah, it's okay.
Awesome.
But I'm going to leave this in because it's cute.
Someone's in charge. That's what I like.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Shift Stirrers podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that follow button so you can get notified whenever we release new content. We'd love to hear from you and feel free to reach out to us at theshiftstirrers@gmail.com, or you can find our individual email addresses and websites in the show notes below. We love questions. You can also connect to us on Instagram at Shift Stirrers. If you found value in today's conversation, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could leave us a review or a rating on your podcast platform. It really helps others to discover the show. And if you know someone who will benefit from this episode, please share with them. Until next time, keep stirring the shift. Just a quick disclaimer, Michelle and Rosemary are not experts in any of these discussions today. We present this podcast in the interest of getting you curious to make changes. Thank you.